Tuesday, July 22nd to 2025 at 6 p.m. Might have to say it again though. You say it. 6:01. Are we starting? Yes. Okay, do I need to read? No, you're fine. Alrighty, we're gonna go ahead and call this meeting to order. So, old business discussion, on the reimbursement of Andy Carrasco's development fees. So, he came to the meeting at the last one, I believe, or a month ago. And, is wanting his reimbursement back, and the staff did look into that. And, we do owe him some money.
What is the amount that we owe?
Sophie, do you have that amount? Let me see, is it on the?
It's in the revision. I don't know if I gave you guys a revision, but because we just came up with the total yesterday. The city is required under our municipal codes to pay for the connection to the main line. And, Andy was billed for that by the contractor and paid for it, so that is a $7,000 fee.
So that's what you think.
That is what
that one.
Just for that, from this.
What about
I don't think it was. Did that like?
I go off there.
Yes, it was from the meter to the street, or to our connection, right?
Correct, to the main line.
Yeah,
To
to
the
the main line to the box. Yeah.
Now what about the second box? that you put in that?
Oh, yeah, that's a different thing. Also, one of the things that I'm here for is, it's the city's responsibility to find, if you guys don't have somebody, to find someone. So when I was building over there, I was just worried advice, we don't have nobody, you do it, you have to do it, you have to do it. In that case, that's not true. If you guys don't have somebody, you guys have to find somebody to do it. That's, if you guys look around, those are in total everywhere, or maybe even more. That was one of my things. And then my second one is, I still don't feel like that was like 7,000 is just for the water line to the water box, right? That's just one part. But I'm also here to see if, I was advised, which I knew that I had to put a different meter, which that wasn't true. I could use one for two. And so I was charged a general faculty charge of 3,500. So that part, I'm asking for money on that one, but I'm seeing if you guys could just credit it to my new one that I'm trying to build.
So you would like the credit of the $3,500?
Yeah, for the GFC charge that I was kind of forced
Mhm.
to go that route when I knew I didn't want that route, because I already knew 1 meter could be for both units.
Did they have to tap into to the water line,
Yeah,
or did they just replace the?
no, I
Meter.
mean, because where I was working back in the day in 2023, they always kept telling me, you have to do it, you have to do it, you need to put a new one. That's why we're in this situation right now. Because I didn't have to put it in. I was kind of like forced, the employers tell me, I have to, which
A new what, meter or line?
a new water line to the meter because.
From your house?
Yeah, because it's a duplex.
So who told you this?
Just so, the 2023 worker. So I go in there, they tell me, well, you know, and I already kind of knew I didn't, because all these apartments have 1 meter for 2, for 3, for 4. So I was forced to find a contractor. And I was forced to pay the GFC charge, which that's not right. So I'm just asking for the 35 to just get credit to my new one, and the 7,000 that was paid to do the city's job, I got charged as a check cash.
And there's proof of that 7,000, there's a bill, you just have it.
It's in your packet, or in the packet of.
So he's gonna get his 7,000. Okay, and what about the $3,500 that he's talking about right now?
Right now, the city ordinance states that a duplex can run off of one meter. He was advised that he needed to install a separate meter so that each house in that duplex would be billed separately. The GFC charge is in the ordinance that we normally charge. I told him I couldn't do anything about that because that is what the ordinance is, and if he wanted retribution for that, that he needed to bring it up for the council.
Okay.
He's again charged for two residences, not just one, right?
He got charged to install a second meter for the duplex that he built, when in our city ordinance, it states that he can run the duplex off of one meter. And there was one already present, so
So what they do with that one?
it's connected. Both are now connected. Each house in the duplex has its own water meter now.
What about the fee for the meter itself? Maybe not the fee for connecting it, like that GFC fee that we have. Does that 3,500 include the meter? I think the meters are like 500,
I think now they've gone up a little bit higher.
but does that 3,500 include that new meter?
City paying for the meter and the.
I was gonna say-
I believe the general facility charge covers, what should be the meter, not sure, Jim?
No, so typically connection card, sorry, I don't have background on this particularly, but there's usually the connection charges pays for the meter. The general facility charge is essentially saying all the other ratepayers have built all this infrastructure and now somebody's gonna add a new connection to it. So, you know, it's not the maximum general facility charge, that's a much bigger number, but it's essentially a charge to help buy into the rest of the infrastructure.
I was charged 4,000, maybe the 500 connection fee is.
That's for the meter.
Yeah,
Okay. Oh, that was a permit.
And so
500.
So it sounds like there are two questions. One is, was it right to make him put in a second connection for a duplex? Right? And it sounds like based on your code, it's not necessarily the case. That's one question. The other question is though, if you go from one residence to two, you're increasing your water use there. And I believe your code would say for that a GFC would still apply there. Because if you build an apartment building, you're going to charge a GFC for all the units in the apartment building because it's essentially more water use. But I don't have the specific language of your GFC requirements. And so they're kind of two questions and two issues that may not have the same answer.
So it may be in the GSC requirements where we did require that 3,500 fee.
Potentially, yes,
Potentially.
or at least a portion of it,
I
right?
don't
So
think it was.
If I wasn't pressured or forced to connect to a new one when I didn't live.
See that GFC, what's that thing called?
your GFC code requirements or the
yeah.
ordinance that adopted the GFC.
That,
Because it could be that you refund the charge of the connection, if the connection wasn't required. But the GFC might still apply, and it would have applied anytime you would take one unit and make it into two, or one unit and make it into four. But that's just something to make sure the code so that you can make sure you're being fair. And yeah. And I don't have that code in front of me. Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're
That's
fine.
right, yeah.
thank you. I'll start doing. You guys, GNO recommended this GFC fee.
We prepared a
There it is,
study
yes.
to document the maximum
Yeah.
and council chose where below that maximum. Typically, cities don't usually adopt the maximum because it's usually so high that it discourages growth. Yeah, so typically
But
it
you didn't make
GFC
up,
is
you
by
didn't write up the code then, who would have wrote up the codes on? it?
city attorney.
The city attorney back then.
Yeah. But I would. It's likely that you add units, you pay additional GFC, right? Because that's increasing water use, right? A property goes from one single family home to a duplex is probably pretty close to two single family homes in terms of water usage. That's going to use more water, even if you're still served from one service. But regardless, you can obviously make sure you're being fair. Yeah, to the.
So are we gonna give him credit for the 3,500? Or are we, what are we
I
gonna
think we
do?
need to look at the code a little bit better on that one, but the one fee that the city should have done, that cost him $7,000,
That one we should give him back.
it's in here, you said?
I put it in the
Make that decision till the regular.
Right,
meeting,
right.
Okay, because this is just discussion. Fine. Any questions? Diane?
No, we'll bring it up now.
Okay.
And the charge for the 7,000, what's that for?
Just whatever they need to do to tap into the main line to the meter box.
You had to hire a company to do it. That's what they charged them. And the
So that's
city-
all the part, that's probably renting the excavating, like, you can't do it by hand, you know, so.
City guys should have done that themselves. Our city guys.
Usually I think we have to hire out, the guys don't do it. Yeah.
They're not certified anymore. In the past, they did.
I believe that the question isn't so much that the city should have done it, is that it shouldn't need to be required for a duplex. If your code says a duplex can be served by a single meter, then it didn't need to be done. When a developer puts water main in, he has to pay for development, right? Development has to pay for development. So if they, somebody split a lot and built a new house, they have to pay for that additional water service to their property. But
Really
because in
has
this case, if your
Really,
code
one
says,
connection, right?
yes, and if your code says he didn't need to do a second connection, and he was mistakenly told that he needed to put in a second one, then that's the question, not that the city should have done it, but that he didn't need to be required.
So each
Is that-
unit's got its own meter now.
Yeah, but if I wasn't advised to do that, I wouldn't, the city wouldn't be trying paying back the 7,000 plus the 4,000 that I actually paid, so. Nobody would owe nobody nothing, but since I was advised wrong, which I knew I could use one, cause all these apartments use 2, 3, 4. Then, it's like somebody's gonna go build 4 apartments, 4 meters, you're gonna charge them 20,000 just to build one?
That was way before a long time.
No,
ago,
yeah,
because
but,
the-
just,
If they made this new GFC thing, then it's changed, I think.
yeah, and hopefully we could change it later on.
Do you have a receipt where they
Yeah.
said that they charge you 7,000?
It's in-
Yeah.
They said it's in here somewhere on the.
You would fill in?
It's supposed to be in here.
Staff was able to track it down.
My
Alright.
question is, how do we keep this from happening again?
Well,
Because if it happened once with not the right
I
information.
believe if the same workers are working for a long time, that mistake will happen. But then if new people come in, then. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Thank you, Randy.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and go on to 3, new business. Discussion of the amendment to the Mountain Municipal Code to include a public records request policy.
I don't have the board agenda. There, that's the one that the attorney's gonna, people, okay.
So we're gonna go ahead and table this one.
You can see.
We're gonna table A through C.
A through C?
Yes, on new business. I'm sorry, I saw that. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and go on to D. Discussion on the approval of resolution 2025-20, approving the emergency scum basin repairs of the wastewater treatment plant. On page 43 to 47.
Open this discussion about for on bikers. So good evening, council. Just today, I wasn't aware of this issue until yesterday when I saw the council agenda, but in talking with your wastewater treatment plant operator, wanted to give you guys an update of kind of what the situation is. So essentially, there's the scum basin is adjacent to one of your secondary clarifiers in your wastewater treatment plant. And the concrete wall has cracked in 3 places. So it appeared this spring, your operations staff have been monitoring it. They brought the basin down and got a look at the crack, the extent of the crack. It doesn't appear to be leaking, but it's something to take care of. And so your city staff and your wastewater treatment operator got a quote from a contractor to do some prospective repairs. In discussions today, there were some, I was talking to him about it today. There were some things that occurred as part of the construction of that structure that predated his time working for the city, and there were some issues, but at the time were all resolved. There's enough uncertainty. There's essentially a construction issue that they thought was fixed, But then when something starts to crack in that area, it makes you want to check it a little more than you might otherwise. And so in a couple conversations with him today, the recommendation is you proceed with emergency declaration. You proceed with authorizing the mayor to spend some money to fix the issue, but not necessarily that exact quote that you have in front of you. I got pictures of it today. We figure kind of have some theories about what could be going on, talked about it internally, talked about it with your treatment plant operator. But I want to run it past the structural engineer first. The concern is you don't want to fix the obvious problem, but be either ignoring a deeper problem, cause additional problems in the future, or kind of put a Band-Aid on something. And then if it gets worse, then it makes the Band-Aid makes the solution harder in the future. And so what our recommendations be, proceed with the emergency declaration, proceed with authorizing to spend some money to fix this. We'll run the situation and the pictures past the structural engineer, maybe some other team members as necessary, depending on how concerned they all are about the situation, and then come back to city staff with a recommendation, maybe similar to kind of what's already been proposed, but want to vet it a little bit before you pull the trigger on the solution to make sure it's what you want, big picture. You don't want to make the situation worse, or miss something bigger going on.
I agree.
If necessary, we can have, we'll start with pictures, and depending on how level of concern from the pictures and the previous history from that construction issue that occurred there.
Do you know when that construction took place on that?
Yeah. And so, just, I can give some backstory there. But depending on that concern, there may be a need for one of our structural engineers to come take a look, and see it. Hopefully we can do it all by pictures, but we'll do whatever we can economically to take care of that. The history is that there was a significant upgrade at your wastewater treatment plant that occurred from 2014 to 2016. Where you built a new aeration basin and a new clarifier. There was a significant excavation at that point because these clarifier and aeration basin are like 20 feet deep. Because of the soils, they had to go even deeper and lay small and foundation gravels below it, and then build these structures and then fill it all the way back up. And in late November, early December of 2016, or 2014, excuse me, a city water line broke and flooded that excavation. So there was a couple 100,000 gallons of water in this giant hole in the ground. And so the aeration basin actually settled, and it went, one side of it went up a little bit, one side went down. The clarifier at the time did not appear to, it's the same area, but didn't seem to settle. They were able to pressure grout through the floor of the aeration basin and eventually brought it up pretty close to level. Get it back, still not perfectly level, but it's close to level. And we're able to move forward with construction. And ultimately insurance, builder's risk insurance could pay the cost of that additional work. So it was a pretty difficult situation for a while, but it was resolved satisfactorily. However, given that history, knowing that clarifier didn't settle at the time, but just knowing the history, it's one of those where when I talked to your treatment plant operator today, it's like, hey, there's some backstory here. His take was, well, okay, let's call a little bit of a timeout on the proposed solution. Move forward with it, but let's look into it a little more closely. Just given the history there. So happy to answer any questions.
So will any of that be covered for the events in 2016? For defective?
The warranty is long gone for that project. And even at the time, that whole issue, if it related to the water line issue, that was covered by insurance. It wasn't a contractor issue. If for some reason this was a contractor issue, the warranties are typically 2 years. So it's well past the warranty. It may be, the most, there's recommendations would be one of two things. Either fix the problem, or at least do an epoxy grout, something, or fill the crack for now and monitor the situation. Because it can be two things, right? Maybe this just happened, but it's not going to get any worse. In which case, some sort of fill the crack and you're kind of good, right? Fill the crack so you don't get leakage, so that you don't get freeze thaw, because water will get in there and then freeze, and that expansion can crack the concrete worse. So you want to fill the cracks, but if the situation getting worse, it may just be as simple as filling the cracks. If the situation is ongoing, right? It is what it is, but it's progressively getting worse. That's when the more complicated solution might be involved. And that will get more expensive, and you probably hear about it in the next council meeting. So let's hope that's not what's the issue is. But either way, best to do a thorough. Have some people look at it before we launch into a solution, just to make sure. It's not something,
Okay.
so happy to answer any questions about that.
Okay,
Hopefully by the next council meeting, I think it's all resolved.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so with that, we're gonna go ahead and adjourn this meeting at 6:22. And resume our council meeting at 6:30.